So the Peggy has the new side. I don't think it's going to stay like that, but they're working on her again. I believe they're in the same place. There goes my dad. He would make a really good rock climber. And I believe that was the dock that got taken out when Peggy went down. But she was still seaworthy, as you can see. She's still afloat somewhat. And they're going to do their best to get her back up. My dad quit school in the 8th grade. I don't know that he ever finished it. That's Jim Bard there. I don't know if he finished the 8th grade or whether he just quit at some point. That would have been, well, he was, I think, about 14. So 1944, too young to go to war, but not too young to work with his dad at Jack's Garage. That was probably about the time that they bought the garage out there south of town. They lived on Park Avenue until that time. My grandfather, who had a garage on Park Avenue in the 30s, in the later 30s, I guess. He used to work for Al Capone. Al Capone would bring his cars up to my dad on his way to Saugatuck, or my grandpa, excuse me, on his way to Saugatuck, because that was where he kind of hung out, I guess, from Chicago. My dad tells the story of a guy who worked for my grandfather. Back in those days, they didn't have hydraulic lifts for cars. So you would drive over a pit and you would crawl down into that pit to work on the bottom of it. One day, the guy that was working for my grandfather asked Grandpa Jack, "Why do they have all these bottles of water underneath this car?" And Grandpa said, "Well, it's a long way from Chicago to Saugatuck. Just in case it overheats, they need to have water down there." Obviously, it wasn't water. It was the moonshine that Al Capone was bringing up here. Looks like the Peggy's been painted. Looks like she's floating. And I think she's going to be hauled out. Interesting house in the background. I know this is in South Haven. I'm sure that house is long, long gone. There's the Peggy Marie, too. This was not the side that she fell on because they pulled her out backwards the first time. And now she's floating. That's my dad standing on the side, overseeing the project. So if I remember right, the house on Park Avenue burned, and everything that was in it. So the earliest picture I have of my dad was when he married my mom at age 18. There's that big warehouse, and they're headed south of the bridge.